Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover the completely bizarre secret history of a place you probably thought you knew. I mean, when you hear Tennessee, you likely have a very specific set of images pop into your head. But today, we're going to completely rewrite your understanding of the volunteer state. We're counting down the absolute wildest of its 50 absurd wonders. We're talking hidden caves, ancient biology, and geographic chaos that will absolutely blow your mind. So typically, your expectation of Tennessee is probably world-famous country music and incredible barbecue, which, everyone loves. But the reality we're exploring today is a whole lot weirder. We're talking about pitch-black underground oceans with literally no mapped edges. We're talking mutating ghost trout, and a history of earthquakes so violently extreme they actually made the Mississippi River run backward. It looks pretty normal from a distance, but the geology here is truly, truly wild. So what else is hiding in the volunteer state? Well, that question kicks off our rapid-fire countdown of the absolute craziest geographical anomalies hiding just out of sight. We're going to journey from miles of pitch-black subterranean mazes all the way up to mist-covered mountaintops that hold more biodiversity than entire continents. Let's get right into it. Part 1, Tennessee's secret underground world. Subterranean oceans and miles of pitch-black maze. 12,000. While most states count their caves in the dozens, maybe the hundreds, Tennessee has almost 12,000 mapped caves. And honestly, the number just keeps climbing. To put that into perspective, roughly 20% of all known caves in the entire United States are packed right here into this one single state. Explorers are finding and mapping about 140 new ones every single year. It is an entirely hidden world right beneath your feet. And the sheer scale of the Lost Sea is staggering. It's a massive underground lake sitting at 13 acres. It was actually discovered back in 1905 by a 13-year-old boy who just crawled through a mud tunnel no wider than a bicycle tire. Today, it's the biggest underground lake in the U.S. Divers using sonar have explored 13 acres of this pitch-black water without ever finding the edges. One explorer pushed his equipment to the absolute limit and just found a massive lightless void going out in every direction. Oh, and those ghost trout? Yeah, wildlife managers dropped rainbow trout down there decades ago. But trapped in permanent darkness, they don't breed. They just slowly lose their color and vision, turning into these huge, pale monsters swimming in the dark. Crazy, right? But the true prizes above those dark waters are anthodites. While the underground lake gets all the tourist attention, hidden up in the dry, upper chambers of Craighead Caverns are these absurdly rare crystal formations known as cave flowers. They literally look like frozen white fireworks or glass sea urchins just growing in these gravity-defying clusters. And they're so delicate that a single touch can shatter thousands of years of growth. These underground absurdities are just everywhere. Take Blue Spring Cave, which had 40 miles of sprawling, winding passages behind a tiny 12-inch hole. Inside that exact same cave, explorers found the perfectly preserved, hardened clay footprints of 500-pound Ice Age jaguars that prowled the darkness tens of thousands of years ago. And what about modern human additions? Well, in Cumberland Caverns, a massive crystal chandelier salvaged from a Brooklyn theater was actually hauled 300 feet underground in the 1980s, and it glows in the dark down there to this very day. Moving on to Part 2, the day the Earth shook, the New Madrid earthquakes of 1811 to 1812. Just track how this terrifying seismic sequence unfolded. In late 1811, an earthquake so unimaginably massive hit Tennessee that the solid bedrock transmitted the energy over 1,000 miles away. It woke the president in Washington, D.C., and literally rang church bells up in Boston. By February 1812, the ground warped so violently it dammed the Mississippi River, forcing the mighty river to surge backward at the speed of a fast horse. The ground completely dropped out, falling up to 20 feet, and the river flooded in. This created Reelfoot Lake practically overnight, drowning an entire bottomland forest. And the surviving 1,000-year-old bald cypress trees actually recorded that exact seismic timeline forever in their tree rings. Now, a lot of this terrifying destruction was caused by liquefaction. During these quakes, an area of land roughly the size of Jamaica literally turned to liquid. The pressure forced fissures open in the earth, launching pressurized sand, water, and 30-pound chunks of ancient rock way up into the air like sand volcanoes. Even today, if you look at West Tennessee from the air, you can still see these massive light-colored patches in the soil. They're the permanent fingerprints of the day the earth erupted. And here's the really wild part. This active seismic zone sits on a failed 750 million-year-old continental crack that geologists say is a matter of when, not if. This wasn't just a one-off historical event. The real foot rift is an ancient scar from when the supercontinent Rodinia tried to pull apart. The weakness never healed. It still produces around 200 quakes a year. Most are too small to feel, but the fault structure that caused all that devastation back in 1812 is still sitting right there, wide awake. Section 3. A biologist's ultimate paradise. The Great Smoky Mountains and beyond. Consider this staggering comparison. You don't need to fly across the Atlantic to find incredible temperate biodiversity, because a single park in Tennessee holds more native tree species than an entire continent. The Great Smokies house over 130 native tree species, which absolutely crushes the native tree count of all of Europe combined. And scientists actually estimate there's still between 80,000 and 100,000 totally undiscovered species hiding in these misty, ancient woods. The biological anomalies in the Smokies just keep piling up. For starters, the Appalachian Mountains are 480 million years old. Let that sink in. They are so ancient that bones literally didn't even exist as a biological structure on Earth when these peaks first rose. Also, you know that iconic blue smoke you see hanging over the mountains? It's not smoke, it's not fog, it's actually a chemical scattering reaction from volatile organic compounds released by millions of heat-stressed trees. Oh, and if you drive from the base of the park up to the 6,643-foot summit of Kuokinihi, the climate shift you experience is the exact biological equivalent of driving 1,000 miles straight north to a Canadian ecosystem. Now, here is a truly mind-bending contrast. People go to the Smokies hoping to see one of the 1,900 black bears that live there, but the true kings of the park? Salamanders. There are 31 species here, and 24 of them have absolutely no lungs. They breathe entirely through their skin. Imagine this, if you put every single bear and probably every bird and mammal in the park on one side of a giant scale, the sheer, slimy weight of the salamanders alone would completely outweigh them. 151. That is the number of distinct fish species packed into one incredibly threatened waterway, the Duck River. Again, just for scale, that is more fish species than you'll find in the entire European continent. The Duck River is one of the top 3 most biodiverse rivers on Earth. Yet sadly, it's currently listed as one of America's most endangered rivers due to rapid regional growth. Finally, Section 4. Bizarre geographic anomalies. Waterfalls, sinkholes, and surveying chaos. The sheer variety of surface anomalies here is just bizarre. Take Grassy Cove, for example. It looks like a completely normal, peaceful valley, but it's actually a massive 5-square-mile sinkhole, the largest in North America. There's an entire active town and farms operating entirely inside a giant crater. Then you have Virgin Falls, a waterfall that literally shoots right out of a cave mouth in solid rock, drops 110 feet, and then instantly vanishes into another cave below. There's no surface stream feeding it and no stream leaving it. And Nashville? It was built right inside an upside-down geological dome that fractured and eroded into a massive basin over time. Have you ever noticed the sudden, bizarre U-turn the massive Tennessee River makes? That is caused by a geological revel move called stream capture. Normally, rivers pick a direction and commit, right? The Tennessee River flows southwest, looking like it's heading straight for the Gulf of Mexico, and then violently turns almost due north. Why? Well, millions of years ago, a completely different river system essentially stole its flow, dragging the water on a massive northward detour and carving out incredible deep gorges in the process. 270,000. Geologists estimate that's roughly how many sinkholes there are in Tennessee, just appearing without warning due to the state's water-dissolved karst geology. The limestone underground is constantly being eaten away by groundwater. In fact, it's so extreme that the state literally has to use AI and 3D LiDAR imagery from the sky just to predict where the ground might collapse next before it, swallows a whole highway. And because Tennessee borders 8 different states, old surveying mistakes created absolute border chaos over the years. Back in 1779, a surveyor veered 12 miles completely off course, marking the northern border. There's even a Kentucky bubble because of this, a 17.5-square-mile piece of Kentucky with exactly 9 residents, entirely surrounded by Tennessee. Or look at 1818. A surveyor error placed the Georgia border just 1 mile too far south. It sounds minor, but today, a very thirsty Atlanta is still legally fighting Tennessee over that 200-foot mistake because it denies them vital access to the Tennessee River. These echoes of the ancient world absolutely still shape the surface today. A while back, routine road construction near Gray, Tennessee, uncovered a 5 million-year-old sinkhole, just filled with rhinos, saber-toothed cats, and the only prehistoric red panda ever found in the Americas. Up on Rowan Mountain, there are these massive open grassy ghost meadows. Why are there no trees? Because they were grazed completely bare by Ice Age mastodons and giant ground sloths 10,000 years ago. Today, park rangers literally use modern goats to mimic those extinct giants just to keep the meadows alive. And out at Coon Creek, you can literally dig up perfectly glossy, non-petrified seashells from 70 million years ago, back when West Tennessee was the muddy bottom of a massive inland sea. So it really makes you think. If a single state is hiding an ancient underground world just beneath the surface, what exactly is hiding beneath your feet? From subterranean oceans and 480-million-year-old mountains to massive earthquake fault lines just waiting to wake up, Tennessee proves that the map you look at every day is just the absolute thinnest layer of a deep, absurd, and endlessly fascinating reality. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. And remember, keep questioning what's beneath your feet.